So golf is an exciting but overwhelming game, especially if you're new to it. You've got to think about what clothes are acceptable.
You've got no friends.
Golf etiquette. Do you want it out? Yeah? He said he wanted it out. It's out, if you have any. How far you hit each club, and that's before we even get into swing fundamentals, grip, your stance. Before you know it, you feel like you're doing the golfer version of the Macarena. Fear not. All we have to worry about today is in my hand, the golf tee. So you're probably aware there are multiple different sizes of tees available, starting from the small, usually used with an iron, all the way up to the big Because fact of the matter is, strike is and always will be key. Different strike locations give us different outcomes, let's say. You're not really going to stand there, are you? Sure? And we're very lucky that we live in a 2024 era of driver forgiveness. Huge faces, huge head profiles, all there to help. Now you'll be forgiven for thinking a driver face is flat. Almost to the naked eye, it looks relatively flat from top to bottom, but this couldn't be any further away from the truth. Now you probably think a driver face looks like this, when in actual fact a driver face does this. I got an A in art, you wouldn't believe it, would you? No. This is called the roll effect. So from the top to the bottom, the face actually comes out. I'm not going to say bulge because that's the other direction, but roll from top to bottom is our friend in many cases. A ball struck low on the face characteristically launches low with lots of spin. We move that strike location higher on the face, and that's when we get the higher launch, low spin. The recipe for big bombing drives. So yes, having the higher tee is going to enable you to reach your distance ceiling, the best output for what you've got. But depending on your swing, is just putting a tee higher going to help you hit it 20, 30 yards further? The answer to that is no, despite YouTube video beliefs. So for right now, probably don't focus on the tee height and focus on something like this. So guys, as you can see, I'm sat here editing today's video. Now I've got a lot of videos to get out on the channel, a lot of embargoes to hit, a lot of deadlines to hit. I don't have the time to have a physical lesson, even though I've got a lot of golf coming up. If this scenario looks familiar to you and you're a busy bee too, we've got something for you. Of course, if you've been watching our tips video, you know I'm talking about Swingtweaks. Swingtweaks is a free app available on Google Play and the App Store. And if you're like me at the moment, a wee bit time sensitive, but you still want to work on your game, all you need to do is find somewhere you can hit a golf ball, send a video down the line and face on. PGA Professional will get back to you with in a few hours, giving you a complete structured rundown, voiceover on your video that you sent, and drills to, get rid of the issues. And all that for the same price as a sleeve of golf balls. No, I'm not joking. To make it even better, if you use the code BIGAL on your first tweak and you just want to give it a try, you will get 20% off. Give it a go, I promise you it's worth it. Now, I'm busy. Now there are a few things in our setup and swing that we can do to help use the roll effect to its maximum potential. One thing of course is ball position in the stance, so having that ball further forward towards the inside of the left heel. The common misconception is I need to hit this up, so I'm trying to actually hit it up in the air. That's not correct. The reason that ball position is further forward is because my arc here is in the middle with a shoulder tilt. We can bring this so it's now on a, let's say, ascending blow. I'm not trying to help this ball in the air, it just happens to be further in the arc. But of course this cannot be achieved without the correct tee height. Let's go really extreme and say, I want you to hit the ball up in the air with a ball off the deck with a driver. No thanks, mate. So rule of thumb, I like to tee about half the ball above the crown of the driver. That allows me to get into that ball forward position and allows me to hit up and probably into a forest. A long way into a forest. So I think it's time we do a bit of a test. 2 different tee heights on this par 4. One, pink, big tee versus a mid yellow castle. What's the difference really going to be? Okay, so we're starting with the mediocre yellow castle, which probably sits in the middle of the size chart of tee. Not what I'd personally be using, especially when it's sat next to a modern 460cc driver. It looks quite scary, to be honest with you. Right, let's see how we get on though. Very low off the face, launched low. I actually got a bit of a left to right ball flight going with that one, which on the grand scheme of things is not a bad thing, but I feel like we've lost a lot of oomph there. Now we move to the pink tee, the more, familiar sight with a driver. Let's give it a whack. Okay, that was definitely a more penetrating flight down the left-hand side. Let's see how they've ended up. This will be a good test as well, maybe exaggerated a wee bit because we've got wind in the face on this hole today. So the natural thing for everyone to do when you're into the wind is tee it low. Now, yes, we want that lower ball flight, but teeing it low, we do have that lower strike in the face, which gives us a lot of RPM. Huge waste of energy. And if the wind gets a hold of that spin, well, get ready to catch it. So even though it does feel slightly counterintuitive, that higher tee into the wind promotes the higher strike in the face, lower spin, cuts through the wind rather than using it and taking off to space. Okay, look at this for a spot, eh? Perfect. 80 yards in. What a lovely drive. That is the low tee. Let's take a walk, shall we? The funny thing about that was I didn't get all of this one. And well, high tee. So that there was probably quite extreme for me, but still there was 33 yards difference between the lower tee and the higher tee. And you're probably asking yourself, why is that? Well, you've probably heard of this thing called spin, measured in revolutions per minute, RPM. And whilst in some shots with some clubs, it's our best friend, when we're trying to bomb a driver, it's our worst enemy. And I've said it a good few times over my years of YouTube content, but my analogy is always, imagine the golf ball's working for you. If it's working too hard, it's not going to go very far. If you hit lower tee and your strike location is low on the face, you're going to impart a lot more backspin, a lot more RPM. And it's like the ball's doing a 13-hour shift on a Monday. It's knackered. Then if we compare that to the higher tee it high and let it fly, we're basically, thanks to spin loft, hitting the ball in the air with low spin. It's just in a deck chair, just admiring the view, not really having to do much, spinning a wee bit, but not compared to its 13-hour brother, you know? So we've just got to understand that having too much spin is really detrimental to your overall distance. This graph from TrackMan is, well, I always go back to it to show you the difference of particular clubhead speeds and roughly about 1,000 RPM difference. Let's look at the 85 mile an hour, for example. Same clubhead speed, same driver, same ball, with 1,000 more RPM. I think it's 3,600 versus 2,600. There's 24 yards difference. Now that is a lot. Let's make sure it wasn't a fluke, shall we? We'll start again with the smaller tee. Straight up the hill here, par 4, great hole this. Again, bottomy, but down the middle. Good little fairway finder that. Like I'm saying, I could definitely make a smaller tee work. I'm just not getting we're not hitting the ceiling of performance is what we're getting at. Now back to the big pinky. See, even though that was lower necky, I lost my balance a wee bit, still much more penetrating ball flight, a lot more forward momentum over that low riser, which wastes so much energy. So lower tee in a great spot again, really. You could argue this is probably better on this hole, but it's based on performance and distance. There's a higher tee. Again, didn't strike it very well, but still. In distance terms, tall tee, top trumps. Tall tee, top trumps. So that did go as expected. That's always a good thing on camera. But there are certain circumstances where that higher tee just isn't going to cut it. There are many YouTube videos out there saying, tee it high, let it fly. Yes, textbook swing, hitting everything on the up. And you're probably thinking, that's great, Al, but when I tee it this high, I sky it. It's because you're coming in too steep. You're showing, obviously, the crown of the ball, which is not a good thing for a few reasons. One, it can feel quite embarrassing. Really, no one likes doming it, do they? Let's be honest. So guys, really enjoyed that. Hope you learned something from it. To answer the question, can a higher tee make you hit it 20-30 yards further? The answer is yes. It is a fact that it can if you do it correctly. So just teeing the ball up high, which can be done when you look at YouTube videos. I'm just going to tee it up higher, but like I say, if you're killing snakes coming over the top, get the wallet out for a new driver. So maybe swing tweak first, then look at changing that tee height for optimum performance. But I reckon the difference between swing change and tee is going to be even more than probably 20-30% if you hit a big slice, basically. So get working on it. Let us know how you got in the comment section. Thank you as always for watching. I'll see you next time.